Former NBA star Dwyane Wade went on the Ellen DeGeneres show this morning, or I should say yesterday morning, to promote an upcoming ESPN documentary about his life, which is called D. Wade, Life Unexpected, if you're interested in checking it out. A cynical person, which I have been accused of being that at times, a cynical person might suspect that Dwyane Wade was using his son's sexual confusion as a marketing ploy for the film. Now, I can't speak to his motivations, but whatever they were, he opened the interview on Ellen talking about his 12-year-old son, formerly Zion, now Zaya, who recently decided to become a girl. Watch this.
We are proud, when I say proud, we are proud parents of a child in the LGBTQ plus community. And we're proud allies as well. And we take our roles and our responsibility as parents very seriously. So when our child comes home with a question, when our child comes home with an issue, when our child comes home with anything, it's our job as parents to listen to that, to give them the best information that we can, the best feedback that we can. And that doesn't change because sexuality is now involved in it. So once Zaya, our 12-year-old, came home, and first Zion, everybody, I don't know if everyone knows, originally named Zion born as a boy, came home and said, hey, so I want to talk to you guys. I think going forward, I'm ready to live my truth. And I want to be referenced as she and her. I would love for you guys to call me Zaya.
Now that's very instructive. Wade's description of this process and his response to it is instructive, and not instructive in the way that Ellen claims when she introduced Wade as an exemplar of unconditional parental love. This is what loving unconditionally means. No, that is not what I mean by instructive. Instructive in that it reveals the confusion and ineptitude of parents who allow radical left-wing gender theory to invade their homes. Dwyane Wade is married to Gabrielle Union, who's a Hollywood actress. And so I don't know. I mean, it will never not be weird to see a normal grown man spouting this left-wing gender theory nonsense the way that Dwyane Wade was there. He doesn't even look comfortable doing it. It doesn't look like he really believes it. Is that because his wife, the Hollywood celebrity, has, imposed this? Who knows? I don't know. But Wade first explains correctly that, as you heard, when a child comes home with an issue, as he says, it's, quote, our job as parents to give them the best information that we can, the best feedback that we can. Okay, great. Now, I agree with that, yes. But then he tells us that his adolescent son came home, sat them down, says, I need to talk to you guys, announces that he's changing his gender and his name, and by Wade's telling, he accepted this self-identification without question. What happened to providing information? He just said provide information. So what information did you provide to this child? What feedback did you give? This would seem like a very good time for a mature adult to give a child information about biology, information about sex, information about the nature of human identity. Okay, these are things that a child doesn't understand, so it'd be good if an adult could tell them. It'd be a very good time for a mature adult, if only one existed in young Zaya's life, to deliver a little helpful feedback. And if not information, and if not feedback, then even a few probative questions would probably be enough to clear things up. Perhaps a question like, you say you're a girl. Son, what does that mean? Can you tell me what you think a girl is and how you've come to the conclusion that you are one? It's a really reasonable question to ask somebody, anybody who makes this kind of announcement, especially your child. Say, I'm a girl. Okay, what do you mean by that? That's all you're asking. What do you mean by that? How about just that question? Could anyone object to that question? Could anyone possibly object to that follow-up? What do you mean by that? Tell me what you mean. Give me a few more sentences here just to fill in the gaps. I want to understand what you mean by that. Very supportive answer, right? Very parental, very loving. I'm not saying you attack the child. I'm not saying you say, you disown him or kick him out of the house or ground him. Not saying that. It just begins with, let me understand what exactly you're saying and what you're thinking, and then we'll try to work through this. This is the kind of question a competent parent would ask about any significant decision or change that a child wants to make in their life. If a child merely wanted to, let's say a child was playing soccer and decided that he wanted to quit soccer and wanted to play lacrosse instead. Okay, although I think there may be different seasons, but either way. If your son came to you and said that, you would probably follow up with some questions. You probably wouldn't immediately say, okay, let's do it. You would want to know, why did he make this change? What led up to that decision? I mean, is this really that he wants to play lacrosse, or is he, does he really actually still want to play soccer, but there are some challenges on the soccer team? Maybe he got into a fight with somebody there or whatever. He's not getting enough playtime, so he's trying to back out and quit and go somewhere else. And so maybe as a parent, you're going to listen, and then you're going to provide some direction. Now, with something like soccer or lacrosse, there's either one is fine. There's not like there's one that's objectively better. Well, lacrosse probably is objectively better because soccer isn't a real sport. But still, generally speaking, either one's okay. Even so, you're going to want to know as a parent what's going on. The point is to help him sort through his own feelings to ensure that he isn't going to do something he ultimately regrets, because kids have no sense of the future. They can't see beyond the nose on their face. They aren't thinking about that. They don't even know what they want most of the time. They don't know what they want. So you ask a child a simple question like, what do you want in any given situation? Much of the time, they won't be able to answer. They don't know exactly what they want. It is mind-boggling that every parent would engage in this line of questioning about a change of sports teams, but some parents won't ask any question about a change of gender. Okay? That's where we are. That there are parents who would take more seriously changing sports teams than they would changing genders. In fact, it's worse than that, because Wade, who just a minute prior had claimed that a parent's job is to give the best information, which he was right about, switched courses and said that after his son became a girl, it was Wade's job to go and get information. He went from the leader in the household, giving information, to the sort of subservient follower taking cues from his 12-year-old. So Wade says that he looked at his son turned daughter and says, "You're a leader. It's our opportunity to allow you to be a voice." Except that 12-year-olds are not leaders. I have news for you, Dwyane Wade. Your 12-year-old is not a leader. No 12-year-old is. Do you know why? Because they're 12. Okay? 12-year-olds don't have the capacity to be a leader of anything, except maybe in a very limited capacity, like on a sports team. They could be the captain of the team. Okay? But they don't have the capacity to be leaders of a cultural or social movement. It's not their place to be the voice of the LGBT community or any other community. Least of all is it a father's job to be a mouthpiece for his child's supposed voice of leadership in society. This is all completely backwards and disordered and wrong. And underneath all of the madness is a boy who just needs his mom and dad to lend some clarity amid confusion. He's just confused. And instead, his ridiculous, ineffectual parents are more focused on following cultural trends and being fashionable than helping their child become a well-adjusted human being. But don't worry, because Wade and his wife, Gabrielle Union, they knew where to get information, right? About how to parent their, quote, transgender child. His wife reached out to everybody on the cast of Pose. Now, Pose, I looked this up because I'd never heard of the show. It is a queer musical dance series. That's a quote from an article. So not to fear, Zaya, mom and dad are consulting with a queer musical dance series to find out how to parent you. And then, of course, you got Ellen sitting there nodding like this is all great. Wow, this makes a lot of sense. The trained seals in the audience clapping. It would be funny if it were not so psychotic and sickening, and if it weren't actual children, if there weren't actual children being destroyed by this unfettered, raving left-wing lunacy. So but it will never stop being shocking. You know, we can't get to a point where we're used to this sort of thing. And isn't it interesting, by the way? Isn't it? What a coincidence that it seems like the parents who have bought into left-wing gender theory, they're the ones who so often seem to be the ones giving birth to daughters trapped in boy bodies. Isn't that fascinating? What a strange scientific phenomena. You've got all these women, especially in Hollywood, who have already bought into this craziness, and then they happen to be the ones who give birth to it just so happens that all of their daughters are trapped in boy bodies. Well, what do you know? That's just a coincidence. I mean, it couldn't possibly be, right, that they are brainwashed themselves, the parents, into this cult of left-wing gender theory, and then they're brainwashing their children? Couldn't possibly be that, could it? I mean, it couldn't possibly be that Zaya's parents have been foisting this on him, that he's grown up in an environment of confusion and hasn't gotten the direction and leadership that he needs. I mean, it couldn't possibly be that he's growing up in a household where he's told that gender is fluid, you can be whatever you want, nothing means anything. The fact that you're a boy biologically means nothing whatsoever. He's told that from birth, and then what do you know, at 12, he's saying he's a girl. Couldn't be that. No. The best possible explanation for this is that mystically, supernaturally, in some way nobody can explain, girls are really being born in boy bodies. That's the best explanation. Obviously, right? Well, I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Matt Walsh Show. If you did, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right down there so you can stay up to date on all of our future content.